Leila, hi, and thank you so much for joining me here at WHX Tech for a very brief discussion on cybersecurity. You're a cybersecurity expert. In 2025, what do you think that every individual should know about their safety when, using new applications and how that, can potentially be not the safest?
Well, I would say first of all, thank you for having me here. Have a secure passport. Whether you use the application on your phone, make sure that the code on your phone is not 1234 or any code of 4 digits, because I think nowadays lots of phones, they can afford having up to 8 or 10 digits combination between numbers and alphabets. And second, making sure that whenever it's possible, you put a specific code for the application. If you have to register, don't use the same password for different applications. For lots of applications, and I can confidently say for all applications, you can enable double-factor authentication, enable them, and in the end, make sure that you give access to an application which is required. Lots of applications not need to have access to your pictures, to your location, to your contacts, and to so many other things. So when you're downloading an application, if it doesn't need access to your microphone, simply disable it. And if one day you need that functionality, you can always go back and enable it.
Yeah. I always find it very useful for images, for example, to give apps a limited access, and then you just, every time you need a new picture or want to upload a new picture somewhere, you just manage that access and add that specific image to the platform that you want to publish on.
Exactly. Like, for example, if you're using LinkedIn or even Instagram, what's the chance that you would need the audio to be enabled there?
Yeah.
Or if you're using LinkedIn, most of the time you don't need even access to video and audio. You need to access to limited pictures. And my recommendation would be simply just give access to the limited one. And like in LinkedIn, for example, you don't need to give access to your contacts. Why do you need to give access to your contact in LinkedIn? You normally add people when you know them, when you get to know them.
Yeah. Where would you say that cybersecurity is in healthcare these days? What are maybe hospitals not thinking about? And here I'm thinking especially on the, individual threat. So phishing, individuals as the vulnerability point are still a big challenge, but the education is not necessarily happening. What should hospitals or healthcare institutions educate people on?
I think it's a difficult topic to say what one particular profile should do. I would say it's a problem that is like a supply chain problem. Each of us has part of the responsibility. When it comes to hardware or to update of the software, it is of course the responsibility of the provider, making sure that they give very easy instruction, for example, how a firmware on a medical device must be updated. Because the reality is that we know lots of those firmware, they've never been updated, and lots of operators potentially don't even know that it is possible to update a firmware. Almost every firmware comes with a code, with a PIN. Most of them, they have a 4-digit PIN. And I can assure you, if we try to have a penetration test, more than 90%, the code is 00001234, 4 times 1, and if it's super creative, 4321. And the key point is that actually when you receive a device, whether it's a medical device, whether you get a camera for your home, or you get any fancy gadget for your home, you must change that password.
Mm-hmm.
So whatever the password is, shouldn't be, first of all, shared with anyone, and second, shouldn't be the default password. So that's on, I would say, the medical devices. Now, let's imagine we have a perfect security team. First of all, let's imagine we have a security team who is taking care of it. And then comes to individual. We don't expect every individual to be really an IT engineer or security expert. But what we expect them to do, first of all, we must have a security training and particularly for phishing. And that should be a very easy approach. If you receive an email and you need to look at it for more than 3 seconds and you're doubting if it's a real email or not, you need to have a button to report that as a phishing. And that's, by the way, what I do. I receive over 100 emails per day for work. So what I do, if in the first second I cannot recognize or I am doubting, I don't have time to analyze it. I simply click that button, and then if it's not a phishing, I receive back a feedback that it's not a phishing. It's a legitimate email, and if it's a phishing, they tell me, well, thank you, yes, it was a phishing email.
Yeah.
So how does it protect me? First of all, for phishing, it's a very easy target. You just send a mass communication to everyone, and you need only one person to kill it. It is important for people to know to report, because when you report, your organization can block it. So if you report it and then I click on it, basically you have already protected the organization. So you are actively protecting your system by reporting it. And then, of course, if you receive something which you know is absolutely malicious, you shouldn't only delete it. Again, for the same reason, you need to report it and making sure that you don't click on it. And the other important point is that even in hospital and medical care, lots of people might use personal application, personal email, whatever, on the work devices, on the work laptop, for example. There is important also for a personal care, making sure that you simply log out from everything that you log into. This might seem very simplified, but I've been in public places where I simply want to, check a flight or something, and I see mailbox open, where people open their email, in a public cafe or somewhere, and they forgot to log out.
Yeah.
So you remember that you shouldn't just close the window.
Yeah.
There is a functionality that you need to log out or log off.
Yeah.
So really simple care. And I would say the best part is making sure that you have a password manager. And if you see something suspicious, simply change your password.
Yeah.
And don't trust your brain.
Yeah.
In the age of AI, we actually don't need to think anymore. AI can do the job for us.
Yeah. Maybe people just rely on forgot password links, that you get to your email to just reset the password.
Yeah, that's also another point. But I would say there's a less risky part, because normally when you receive the password link, it's only valid for a certain amount of time. But in principle, having a password manager, I would say, there is even free password manager.
Yeah.
But even if it's not, it's the best investment you can do for yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I think all of us have some insurance.
Yeah.
This is the best insurance you can potentially buy.
How do you see that AI is changing the cybersecurity landscape? Today, in the morning, we had an informal discussion where you mentioned the danger of third-party applications that people might use for their personal use, or free applications that seem safe but aren't necessarily. I also just read that, hackers are now potentially adding secret instructions into images. So, with your eyes, you won't see that. But if you tried to upload that image to generative AI or to an engine, that image could actually include a prompt that you didn't have in mind and could have an impact on the output or how AI works. So what's your insight?
So I would say there is no such a thing as free lunch. We should always remember that. So when someone puts something on internet, whether they want direct money or they want some information, it is not for free. Even, we used to say Gmail was for free, but now we all know Gmail is not free. There is no such a thing as free lunch. So basically, every time we are using an application, whether we are paying directly with a currency that we know, or we are paying with our data. So particularly when we are using an application in professional environment, we should always remember this. The fact that we don't need to go through procurement, it doesn't mean that it's safe. The fact that it's free, like, Mirror, Canvas, whatever we use, Slido, if you use the free version, it doesn't mean that it's for free. Now, Also, not every cheap application is bad, but we should just know, first of all, for what we use it, what type of information we put there, because almost every application now is using AI to train the specific model. So what type of data we are uploading. I don't know if you read it, but recently there was a leak on a couple of AI model in Gemini. It has been reported several times that basically there was a leak that, I don't know if you have seen it, but there's a small logo once you create pictures, for example, or even a text, that it tells you if you want to share this. And that functionality is built that, for example, you ask AI something, ChatGPT or Gemini or whatever, and then you want to share it, you want to save it or something. There was a leak because that function would actually share it completely on internet. Now, what happened was that basically people would ask really intimate questions, and then data was out there. And data was out there with really individual information. So again, when we are using an application, we should first of all consider that with every application, particularly when using AI is new. There are certain risks. And we should know what type of information we put there. And the third one, we shouldn't fool ourselves that it is for free. There is no such a thing as free. And if we are using the information from our working environment, we must know that even if it's for free, you are not allowed to put data from from your working environment there. And if it's your personal data, be careful about what you put there, because one day there might be a leak on that. And then another angle of AI. So AI, I would say, now it's like every other tool that we have, is a double-sided sword. It has a positive side in cybersecurity. There are lots of improvement in a prevention and detection system of cybersecurity with AI, because it's definitely helping lots of experts and lots of security operations. But at the same time, it's also making the cost of any cyber attack very low. Now it is super cheap to have a specific cyber attack and to personalize it. So we discussed about the age of phishing, where we would tell people look for a grammatical mistake. Well, now AI can basically write better than what I write in my native language. On one hand, we are great. On the other hand, we know that it lowers the cost of cyber attack. At the same time, also lots of organizations trying to train AI model with any data that they have is also another risk, because it's like you are solving salt into water. So once you have a salty water, you can dissociate them, but it's going to be super, super expensive. And it's not always possible to have the purified water. So if you cannot now give all the salt to the water, and then after, I don't know, a couple of months, once you realize that, what type of AI you were training, saying, maybe now I don't want it. Good luck, you can even go and sue the company.
There's no,
but maybe you can get a financial remuneration, but you will not be able, you will not be able to purify that water. The AI is now trained. And I think just being cautious about and understanding what that AI is. And for lots of people, particularly educated kids, you get back information. You are educating these kids with a specific information. Afterwards, maybe you can say, okay, this information you received, you shouldn't use it in this specific. So imagine a kid hears a swearing word. So afterwards, you can give lots of information. Don't use it here. This is why you shouldn't use it. This is used by adults. But have you ever redo that? The information is there. The kid maybe will never use it. But if he or she want to use it, they could actually use it. And I think understanding AI, artificial intelligence, exactly, okay, it's far from being intelligent now, but one day it will become intelligent. It means everything we gave it will remember and will build intelligence on.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for taking the time for this brief discussion. Also for very clear and understandable examples of what, giving the data means and how to be careful. So I guess caution is never bet to take into account.
Thank you. And don't be afraid. I mean, it's a risk that we accept lots of risk in our life, but being cautious doesn't mean being scared,
Yeah.
and doesn't mean
That you just lock yourself and never go anywhere or never use anything.
Absolutely. Every business has to use AI. Every user has to use AI. It's just a matter of education and matter of knowing how to use it at the end of the. Thank you very much for having me.
Wonderful. Thank you.